Hey guys, in this video I'll be recapping the top 2 at the 2024 Empro Spain, William Bonac and Behrouz Tabani. Their placings first and second respectively have sparked some controversy online, leading to many fans claiming that Behrouz was robbed at this show. This is a fair point to raise as there was only a 2-point difference between the two. Taking a look at any pictures or video footage can tell you why these claims are being made, since Behrouz is a younger, similarly muscled, less flawed competitor with some impressive characteristics. Not only does he have a smaller waist, better symmetry, and similar condition, but he also has a taller structure and is more aesthetic. This video should help clarify whether or not Behrouz was robbed, or if Bonac rightfully won his comeback show. Here's the front double, the first pose of this comparison, and a pose which showcases some clear differences within these two physiques. Bonac, a shorter, densely muscled competitor, has some amazing peaked biceps and full triceps, yet they are smaller than prior showings. He also has a more impressive sweep to the quads and great overall condition. Behrouz is great as well, having that small waist and great X-frame as his main weapon. His arms, while similar in size, aren't as impressive due to their lacking separation and freakiness, and his lower body is undeniably improved, but still disproportionate to his wide, absolutely massive upper half. While the arms, arguably the most important aspect of this pose, easily go to Bonac, and so do the legs for that matter, Behrouz flows so nicely and is extremely aesthetic, and is just as conditioned. I'd choose him for that reason, as I'm not a fan of Bonac's wide waist and sort of melted look in certain areas. The front lat spread is the same story as the last pose, since Bonac is so dense, thick, and detailed but blocky, while Behrouz is dense, detailed, and aesthetic. Just look at how nicely Behrouz's midsection ties into his flared lats and extremely wide shoulders, and compare that to the stout, unshapely look that Bonac has. To be fair, Bonac has a great set of arms, delts, and amazing quads, and more intricate detail, however his shape is so far off. Behrouz kills him in that aspect, leading to a rather decisive win. Going to the side, we have the side chest, and this photo reveals something that many people might not be talking about when it comes to Behrouz. This would be his midsection control, which is noticeable in video footage the more you look at it. Here you can see that his midsection protrudes so much, whereas Bonac keeps everything tight and controlled. Bonac definitely had this issue in the past, and I think he's gone to great lengths to present a tight and slim waist, considering all the outcry that there has been surrounding this area. That being said, Behrouz does have Bonac beat in the arm dryness and that granite conditioning, and has twice the mass in the hamstring and tremendous size. As it is though, Bonac has, finer details and looks extremely polished, even though he isn't the largest. I'd still go with him here for this better presentation and more polished look, however Behrouz with a controlled waist would be more competitive. The rear double is a pose which both are extremely strong in, as both have huge backs and great lower bodies. Bonac's left lat is noticeably atrophied, especially in the lower portion, however the silhouette is not compromised, and he still has phenomenal thickness and width. Behrouz is similar in width and density, and has a more symmetrical physique, however Bonac has better separation when it comes to the traps and has deep cuts in that back. When it comes to the arms, Bonac utterly destroys Behrouz in the biceps and in the tricep sweep, however not necessarily in size. I'd still have Bonac winning in this area, but not by a lot. Then looking down, we see that both are shredded to the bone in the hamstrings and the glutes, and present considerable size as well. Behrouz appears to have finer striations in the glutes, while Bonac has deep, noticeable cuts in his. The hamstrings are nearly even, with both having piano chords back there. So with the backs and the legs being almost even, it comes down to an arms versus symmetry battle. Personally, I'd pick Bonac's physique because it is more pleasing due to that wide back on a smaller frame, coupled with those huge arms. However, Behrouz could win this one based on symmetry just as convincingly. The rear lat spread is closer than the last pose, since Bonac's main advantage, the arms, are gone. The messed up left lat of Bonac is surprisingly not an issue, as like the rear double, his silhouette flows symmetrically on both sides of the lats, and his hamstrings and glutes are also heavily detailed. That being said, Behrouz is just as good in the density, especially in the traps and lower back, and excels in width, which is to be expected on a taller, wider frame. His glutes and hamstrings are also very comparable. However, I prefer Bonac's total leg package due to his superior outer quad sweep and presentation. Now, between the two, it is definitely close since I've always liked Bonac's superb lower lat insertions. However, there is no denying that he lacks the thickness in the lower back that Behrouz has. Behrouz's symmetry, density, and things like that may be too much for Bonac to overcome. However, I'd still have him narrowly winning the shot. This is because he isn't too far off in width, has great thickness in the traps and decent overall density and detail, and wins the lower body. Like the last pose, this one could go either way, so let me know down below who would you have winning. Here's the side tricep, a rather dominant pose for Bonac and an average one for Behrouz. Bonac immediately stands out in a lineup in this pose, as his presentation is not only unique, but it's rather effective. Just look at how much size he packs in that side leg, while simultaneously having great detail. Then look at his arm and incredible fullness upstairs in the chest and delt, along with his tight, seemingly small waist. In contrast, Behrouz is decent but nothing special. His arm is large, his delt and chest are thick, and his side leg is massive. However, his tricep is flat and genetically not the best, and his midsection is not the most impressive. He doesn't look that bad by any means, however, nothing about him screams winner in the pose. For that reason, I would go with Bonac for a clear win in this shot. Like how the side tricep was a dominant victory for Bonac, the ab and thigh is a killer pose for Behrouz. Take a look at that tiny waist with one of the best V-tapers across any division right now. That waist is so small and his lats flare out so wide, and it makes for an awe-inspiring pose when looking upstairs. What kind of lets him down a bit is the lower half, which is rather disappointing when comparing it to that phenomenal upper body. Still, his quads are fine and look separated and cut, and are certainly enough to win. I think that just looking at Bonac tells you the story and everything you need to know. However, his wide waist, non-existent V-taper, and terrible midsection detail are all so bad. This is definitely his worst pose, while it might be Behrouz's best. Here's the most muscular, a pose which is definitely interesting. This is because Behrouz stands much further in front of Bonac, causing his arms to look twice as thick and his overall physique to pop like crazy. He looks so much larger to the point where it's sort of comical. Keeping that in mind, we can see that Behrouz does have the symmetry advantage along with great conditioning and muscular fullness. Bonac is still just as big in the legs while standing further back, going to show you how good his quads actually are. He also looks great in the arms and chest, however his downsized package detracts from his shoulder width. The crab variation is more fair to compare since they are standing closer. I think that this is a pose which would definitely go to Bonac, as his density and roundness come alive even at this later stage of his career. Just look at the roundness of the delts, biceps, and triceps, and the striations everywhere. Then compare the details and the size of the legs, and it's really game over. I'd go with Bonac here, however the other variation would have Behrouz leading by a little. Since Bonac is extremely dominant here in this variation, I'd give him the overall pose. Alright guys, that's it for this video. In short, I had this one ending in a 4-4 tie between the two. Shots like the front double, both back poses, and the most muscular were debatable. However, I had Bonac slightly ahead due to his super fine details and dense muscularity. While Behrouz was incredible and had a lot of density and rock-solid conditioning, he lacked the upper-lower body proportions and wasn't as detailed in certain areas, especially like in the chest and that crab most muscular. There's definitely an argument to be made based on his superior symmetry and lack of muscular flaws. However, Bonac was not off by any means and brought a very competitive package. Was there any political involvement in this competition? Maybe due to the fact that, Behrouz probably won't make it to the US, being, all things considered, possibly incentivizing them to pick Bonac for the win. Regardless, this was an extremely close show that could have gone either way, so do let me know down below in the comments what you all think of it. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.